Hello, welcome to the costume department of The Chosen. Today we're going to show you how we dress our background. This is an example of how we dress our males for the background. We have our T-shaped garment, also called a shmata or a tunic, and if you're looking online for one, you can also use the search term thobe. We have a great leather braided belt. You can find these at a thrift store and just remove the buckle. Remember, we didn't have buckles in 1st century. We've added some leather straps so that we can tie it on. And if you run into a situation where your robe is a little bit too long, you can always blouse it up over your belt and it gives you a little bit more shape to your garment. Next, we're going to do an overlayer. Here we have a beautiful robe that adds a lot of color and texture with its stripe, but it's not overly distracting and it's not too blockily striped. If you would like a few more layers, especially for the cold, we are going to also add a scarf that you can throw over your shoulder or around your shoulders. So one way to throw the scarf over your shoulder can be just a simple drape. You can also wrap it around like this. If you would like to cover up some underlayers you may be wearing. We have some great jewelry for our male background. This one in particular was found at a TJ Maxx. You can also shop thrift stores and other jewelry stores such as Walmart or Hobby Lobby that will have bone jewelry and shell jewelry. We're gonna show 3 different ways to wrap your head, but we also have these great soft caps that are easy to just throw on and complete your look. Remember, if you have a modern haircut or highlights, that you wanna cover that up so that you're not visibly recognizable as being too modern for the time period. Here we have some simple leather sandals. We don't have any kind of zippers or buckles. We're not doing anything with a shiny metal or a chunky heel. These are some simple slip-on sandals. We added a little bit more detail by cutting up the top and adding a leather tie. Obviously, you don't have to go that far. Just make sure that you're not wearing something that's overly modern. We're going to demonstrate to you a few different ways you can wrap your head. We have right here some soft caps. These are great for keeping your head warm. They will also cover up some modern hairstyles. If you have any kind of side fade, highlights, or a modern haircut that's going to separate you from 1st century, then you'll definitely want to have something on your head. This soft cap is going to fit right on top of his head, and we tilt it back just a little bit. You want to have a pretty good fit, but if it's a little small for your head, that's all right too, because then it will fit a little bit more like a kippah. An easy way to do a fabric wrap on your head is to take your piece of fabric. I like to fold it into a triangle. That way we have our raw edges facing outward. And I'm gonna have you hold on to the front of your head for me. Thank you. I have a great strip of fabric here in a contrasting color. We're going to give this a little bit of a twist, wrap it around the front of his head, and tie it in the back. If you have a long strip of fabric, you can wrap it around the head a few times, and you can get creative with your ties. This is an easy way that you can style your headdress to completely cover your hair and to also give you a little bit more warmth out there. Another thing you can do is a turban. You want to make sure when you select your turban fabric that you have something lightweight, easy to tie, and long and rectangular. I have a very long piece of mauve fabric that I'm going to fold over again to make it even more narrow. I'm going to start by finding the center of my fabric and putting that on your forehead. If you'll hold on to that for me, thank you. Now I'm just going to twist both of the long strips in opposite directions. Sometimes it helps if you have a partner and you can twist one side and your partner can twist the other. When wrapping your turban, it's important that you have someone hold the front of the head so that it doesn't get pulled back while you're wrapping. I'm going to take my 2 strips of fabric that have been twisted and I'm going to crisscross them in the back. Then I'm going to come around the front with one side, continuing to twist as I go. And I'm going to come around the front with the other side. I made sure my piece of fabric is long enough that I still have enough to tie in the back, a double knot at the base of the neck. And because my fabric is not too bulky, this knot will be very comfortable to wear. I'm going to make sure you're nice and centered. And that is a simple turban. Another way that you can wrap your head is by putting a piece of fabric, long and comfortable, over the top of your head, letting one side hang down. This side's gonna be a little bit shorter than this side. And taking the longer side, wrapping it across the front of your shoulders and throwing it over your shoulder. One thing to make this stay up more easily is to make sure that you put it under the shorter side. Then you can separate this out. And this also helps if you're wearing a lot of warm underlayers to cover up any necklines that you may be showing underneath your costume.